had been scheduled, of course, to take up a repeal vote of the health care law on Wednesday. I'm joined now by Congressman Jim McDermott of Washington. He is a doctor, and freshman Congressman Blake Farenthold of Texas. Congressman, thank you very much. Congressman McDermott, let me start with you. First, I guess, reaction to all of this and put it in perspective in your mind.
Well, listening to the report from the physicians, being a physician myself and a psychiatrist, I have been in these situations where the trauma people are doing everything they can, and it sounds very, at least cautiously optimistic. But I think what I can't help thinking about is all the other people who died and the families who are now dealing with the grief of this kind of situation. You know, 3 older women go there, they're killed, a little kid is going there who was interested in government. I mean, and suddenly their families have to deal with all this, as do all the people who saw it. And I think that the emotional trauma of this situation, we mustn't lose sight of that. It's very important what happened to Gabby. Gabby's actually, her office is next to mine in the Longworth building. So wow. It's more than, you know, it's my neighbor. But the fact is that there are a whole lot of people here, and I think that it's very important for us to be calm and not draw conclusions, not generalize. Let's wait for the facts to come out. If we are calm and thoughtful about this, the people who are dealing with it will be much less upset. You saw things that appeared immediately in the press yesterday that then turned out not to be true. And I think that it's very important for us to be careful what we say and what we put out there for people to think about.
Couldn't agree with you more, Congressman. Congressman Farenthold, the Republican leadership decided to put off this vote on health care repeal and really all legislative action this week. You think that was the right move?
Well, you know, this is not a time to be talking about politics. This is a time to make some time for the families and for Congress as a whole. We're a tight-knit group, you know, Republican or Democrat. We're all friends, and this is a time for us to take stock and mourn.
Yeah. What, if anything, though, if anything, does this shooting say about the political discourse in the country?
You know, this is the United States of America. Our politics takes place in the halls of Congress and at the ballot box. It doesn't happen at the barrel of a gun. This is just an isolated incident of a person with obvious psychological problems. I think it's an isolated incident, and I don't think this is the time or the place for politics.
Congressman McDermott, you mentioned that there have been people on all kinds of outlets talking about the political implications here and where it goes. You know, members of the Tea Party movement condemned Saturday's attack, and one of the groups, the Tea Party Express, released a statement saying in part that these heinous crimes have no place in America. They are especially grievous when committed against our elected officials. There have been other statements from the Tea Party as well. You mentioned that you think everybody should take a deep breath. Do you think that's happening across the spectrum, Congressman McDermott?
Well, I hope so, because I think if we're going to be a civil society in which we can debate the huge issues that face us in this country, whether it's health care or the economics or anything else, we have got to do it in a civil way in which we can respect each other as human beings and not incite people's emotions in the country in ways that are destructive. It is very easy for some people in the society not to be able to make the distinction between words and actions. And that's really what I think is very important as we have these big discussions in Washington about terribly important issues, that we treat each other as human beings and recognize that there can be differences, but that doesn't mean it leads to action in a violent sort of way that we've seen here. Whatever this young man was responding to, or whatever we ultimately find out. In fact, one of the most interesting things here is we have the shooter in custody and he's alive. One of the last postings someone has suggested that he made was to his friends, "Goodbye, don't be mad at me." Well, we have him alive. We're going to find out an awful lot about what was going on. But I think we ought to be very careful in what we say to one another.
Congressman Farenthold, I'll give you a quick final thought here.
Well, again, I think this is a time that we can all come together, not a time for politics, and I agree with the Congressman. This is a time where we need to realize that we can debate issues, and violence absolutely has no place in the political spectrum.
Congressman, thank you very much. It's a tough day. Thank you both for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up here.